Okay, so I want to talk about the current bullish developing signs for Bitcoin representing higher prices in the near term. So I'm going to break that down. I'm going to give you guys my opinions on it, what those signs actually look like, and then, of course, how this can influence Mara stock. So after Bitcoin, I'll be looking at Mara stock. Now, we've been keeping a track of in this channel, and again, this is all just my opinion, what I'm looking for. It's very important for everyone to do their own due diligence, especially during a moment where tariffs are like picking back up again. There's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to that, and then of course, still rather not. Um, there's a possibility of a September rate cut. We have no idea. We're gonna get some more economic data by then, I believe. So let's just keep an eye on what's going on right now. So we've seen Bitcoin somewhat not super clean, kind of sloppy, but it did hold this yellow support area and is trying to trend higher into this resistance area in blue. There's going to be some bullish signs within this that I'm going to break down in a moment. But you guys can remember that Apple kicked butt today. It went up a lot. And there's word, I'm not sure if it's official or what the likelihood is, but there's word that potentially Apple can also be spared or at least not affected as much as other companies getting a lot of their products from India due to the current aggressive tariffs that they're facing. There's a lot of mystery behind that. It's kind of still developing, so I'm not going to give my opinion too much on that because I feel like I can be much more educated on it. So I kind of want to see how it evolves and then make an opinion of it. Excuse me. So to get started, um, I kept stressing in previous videos the chances of us finding decent support within the red area, especially within the overlapping blue support area, which is an extension for support, you know, constructed off of previous fluctuations. And it overlapped very nicely with this retracement, which is from the previous short term deep value all the way up to the current swing high, right? So that's really strong support and is holding quite well within the price potentially, and it's not completely there yet. We're still having these bullish signs develop, which I'm going to go over again in a moment. But so far, it's holding quite nicely. It ended up topping out once we hit that 120 moving average that I said would be very likely. We're flirting with the 120 moving average still. But as the price tried to retreat, it actually failed to hold below the support and try to retest this swing low. During this time, the RSI is trying to balance itself out. So right now, the RSI isn't really anything significant that I'm paying attention on, just because right now the value structures are much more important. So besides what's going on in the macro, besides tariffs, besides expectations with the next FOMC and everything behind that. Basically, what I'm looking at right now is in the short term, as we came down and created this higher low, because the price did very briefly, it's pretty much perfectly in line, but I believe it very briefly broke over the swing high, indicating there is some short term bullish momentum that is potentially building. Honestly, in my opinion, the volume isn't anything too significant to keep an eye on because a lot of these, like this super small break of structures, it's so minor, and we're still within the first stages of the price trying to decide if it's going to hold bullish momentum. So the volume isn't anything super significant either. So what we have is quite simple, as of right now, a higher low that has been established. So I can finally use this structure as as an opportunity to see how strong the resistance area is. So just based off of this move from this low, it shows that the price is very much set up to potentially come up into the retracement area. I can actually change this up a little bit to make it easier to look at, but it actually will do orange. I think it'll look better. So the idea is that we are looking for higher prices within the overall retracement. This retracement is from the high all the way from these highs all the way down to the swing low, it shows that this is a very important area to keep an eye on, because it is going to be the break point on whether or not Bitcoin has enough momentum, at least in my opinion, to try to test these swing highs. And if we can break these swing highs, then I wouldn't be surprised if there's enough um, FOMO building up in the background from other investors and traders, and just from the overall market, to potentially push the price up and retest the all-time high, swing high back here. And that would open up the pathway to finally hit the next leg up target of $128,000. Now, if we continue to go up higher, this is going to strengthen the chances. And then there's one important sign on whether or not the low will be in, at least in my opinion. But if we can break up into this area, especially into this overlapping resistance area, this will open up the signs to confidently actually have a reasonable, let's just say the price goes all the way up to 118, right? That's fair, 118 as an estimate. At that point, we'll just be following the price higher until it reaches this area. With this support, we'll follow the price up higher. Let's say it tops at 118. And then the idea is, and I mean, we'll see fluctuations within this. I mean, we can see crazy fluctuations, but the idea is that we'll top out potentially around or just above the 0.5 at 117.579K. We can potentially see the bulls weakening there, at least in the short term, and then it will allow them to strengthen up once again within this support area, and we can go up higher from there all the way up to 128K as the next target. So the idea is that within this smaller picture, micro, we're seeing these small higher highs and higher lows forming. As we're seeing the higher highs and higher highs forming, we see a breakout, and now we're really trying to hold bullish momentum. So I wouldn't be surprised. It's very strong. We can easily see within the smaller picture, and again, this is all noise, so I don't really keep too much attention to this. We can still come down here, but still hold the uptrend. But regardless, the idea is that the price currently is trying to work its way up higher. We have retracements, resistance, and a little bit of an extension resistance to keep an eye on. At that point, if there is not enough bullish momentum, and I mean, I'm going to say something after this, but if there is enough bullish momentum to just break the price over 100 or hit 119 and break over it, 119K, then at that point, this retracement won't really be, and again, this is an estimate at the moment, but the retracement for another higher low support would be pretty much broken. It's also an opportunity for the price to find a simple, ascending support, another support that overlaps with it quite well. So the idea is that there's two ways of looking at it. Either the price continues higher and it breaks 119. At that point, we're not looking for a retracement within this area anymore. And at that point, we're just looking to look at extension opportunities within the structure to see if we can see any overlaps with around that 128K area. This will just be very short-term bullish. I would just see the prices continuing to extend itself much higher if that was to happen. But until we have that, the opportunity will be for the price to top out within this area, come down, hold a higher low with the support I showed you guys, and then from there it will break the previous swing high that it would create at the time, and then just break up higher. So we can either see a direct breakout or a upward momentum that holds a higher low and then the breakout. So regardless, they both lead to higher prices. Now, that's the bullish sign. That's the ultimate bullish sign. It's either breaking 119K or finding a top around 117, 118, allowing the price to come down, hold a higher low, and then from there go up higher. If the price fails, if it does find a top within this area, quite simply, it holds a top within this area, and it fails to hold the higher low support, that I showed you guys what the estimate will potentially look like. If it fails to hold that um, higher low support, then at that point we're still looking for the 0.5. I mean, it can fail to go up, it can still come down, but if we don't have one of those two bullish confirmations hit, um, the eyes will be to finally just have that one more low and break the 0.5 to 110k, and then from there, that will be, in my opinion, the last lower low, and it's from there it's just higher prices. But regardless, the structure is looking really healthy right now, and I do believe that the current tariff news is really easy for investors to handle. And I also believe that the shift from the jobs report fear is starting to become more bullish, and a lot of these investors are probably preparing to invest with the understanding that this is a very, very great jobs report example to pressure the Fed to really want to cut rates. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but as of right now, it looks like higher prices is more likely. We're just waiting to see what the price does within this area, and whether or not we're gonna get the higher low or just have a direct breakout. But the estimated higher low support is extremely important to keep an eye on once the price is within this area, and then so is the 119 point K area. But regardless, no matter what happens, I am ready to add more. And if we hold above the red and we don't end up revisiting the red, then I will not be adding more to the position. But I am well positioned to just let the position ride and create a ton of profit. So I'm ready for either direction. But the way this influences Bitcoin is, and I said this in previous, or the way this influences Mara stock, I said this in previous videos, we have a retracement that's overlapping with value gap. This yellow retracement is the equivalent of these two overlapping areas. So this blue area primarily is the equivalent of the yellow area in Mara stock, but we have some strong signs with the overlapping extension to prove that this is potentially could be a short-term strong resistance, but not a resistance where we can see aggressive sell-offs. It's just a short-term resistance for us to have another higher low. At least that's the current view, in my opinion. So this is the equivalent. Now, with that being said, I've said this in previous videos, and if we go up into this area, the estimate will be, let's just say we top out at 1830, right? So simple retracement from the low that we have within the red accumulation area that I've stressed so much. I've been stretching this red area since we were up here. Like, we haven't even broken into the orange early support to accumulate early within the actual accumulation area. I've been stressing this area since then, and we finally filled it, right? So it was very likely that the price will fall into here, and it did. So far, it's holding that ascending support that we're within. So the idea is that if Bitcoin does have it breaks 119, then we can easily see small fluctuations within this area, but just break out directly into the next take profit area, which will allow the price to once again trade above the long-term ascending support line. We broke below this support line early this year when like tariff and inflation fears picked up. It caused a lot of emotional buying over in the overall market, and we broke below it. So now we're trying to break above it. We did, but now we're trying to just actually hold above it. So we have an opportunity to accumulate really nicely. Pretty good short-term discounted attractive levels for us to go up higher into the next take profit area, from accumulation to take profit. So there's two ways it can play out. It can either have that direct breakout if Bitcoin breaks directly, and I've said this before, Mara does not directly correlate with Bitcoin, but a lot of these broad market bullishness is mainly due to pretty much the same elements that I explained earlier across the board. So it's just overlapping reasons for it to at least be highly influenced by Bitcoin if that were to happen. The second thing too is that if the underlying asset Bitcoin does go up into that retracement area and it decides to top out and have that higher low, then we'll just be keeping track of a very similar. This will be the estimate 1830 is again just an estimate for to illustrate this example. This will be a simple retracement from the price going up into here and topping out. Short-term support holds, again correlating with Bitcoin. If it ends up holding that higher low from the similar example I just gave, the idea is that then we can just come down, retest the red once again, but the test will be, in my opinion, if it plays out that way, it will just be above the 0.5. We'll find support somewhere in the premium red area and then go up higher into take profit. Regardless, if Bitcoin does decide to, and again, with time, I'll be able to show you guys. Right now, we're just waiting to see if this breakout is going to hold and we can go up into the blue. We're still waiting on that. If not, we're just looking for, another simple retracement within this area. It would just be a smaller picture, higher low, before it can go up. So we're still waiting for this to unfold. Most likely overnight. We'll see how it unfolds. But the idea is that if it fails and we're just gonna hold that accumulation area for a bit longer, it'll be simple. Mara would just continue to hold around this 0.5, retesting this low. The idea is that there's a lot of what ifs, but the idea is that no matter what happens in the short term, because it's all noise, this, in my opinion, this is no matter where we are within this range, rather we go into the lower 14s, it doesn't matter. It looks like right now things are getting ready to pop. Mara's RSI is actually showing that it wants to pop as well. And we're well below the 120 moving average. Just like in Bitcoin, Mara likes to flirt with the 120 moving average, so short-term upside is likely. But the idea is that any price within this red area is an attractive accumulation opportunity. And we have some short-term fluctuations ahead of us that can unfold. But regardless, the idea is that accumulation and take profit. For the overall take profit. That's as simple as that. You can be conservative with it, and like if you guys have been accumulating now and we do pop up, you have the chance to lock in some profit within this area in case we do have that retracement. Then you can reaccumulate, and then sell the rest of it within this area once we break into like the 20s, 21 and 22. It's as simple as that. But this can take some time to play out. We have a lot of random headlines coming out causing fear and greed all over the place. So like this doesn't have to happen this week. It doesn't have to happen in August. But the idea is, once again, what is considered short-term attractive buying prices? What's a good deal? And as of right now, in my opinion, a good deal is within this red. And then after that, what will be considered short-term, or at least in the current time, overextended prices, and it will be likely that the price will retrace, then that will be within this blue area. It's as simple as that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll keep you guys updated. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and take care.